Paul Thomas Anderson.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Soyez le bienvenu à la Cinémathèque française pour cette projection exceptionnelle de votre film Phantom Thread. Ma première question est simple, mais parce que je crois que le titre est un peu mystérieux et qu'il est riche de signification. Donc je voudrais que vous nous dépliez un peu comme un tissu ou comme une robe ce titre qui pour nous Français est encore plus mystérieux que pour vous, Phantom Thread. Combien de signification a-t-il?
Well, I'm not sure because I don't speak French, so I don't know how many meanings there might be. And I'm still not quite sure what the title means, to be honest with you. We needed a title when we started shooting the film for our company, and I had read in a book about Victorian-era seamstresses who were working in very horrible conditions, very dark and very claustrophobic, and they were working very long hours. And when they would go home at night, they were still seeing what the author wrote as phantom threads. So they were imagining that they were still sewing, or even when they were sewing, they were reaching for threads that weren't there. So it's very evocative, but I'm not quite sure how it applies to our film. It sounds very good, though.
Par rapport à vos autres films, nous étions restés sur Inherent Vice, qui était adapté d'un livre de Thomas Pynchon et qui était une lecture ou une variation des romans noirs et des films noirs qui se passaient à Los Angeles. Là, l'univers, le contexte est totalement différent. Or, vous avez pour habitude d'écrire vos propres films. Comment on se documente, comment on se renseigne sur une période et un univers qui, a priori, est aussi éloigné de soi? Vous qui êtes un garçon de Los Angeles, comment on travaille pour raconter l'Angleterre et la couture de ces années-là?
Good question. Thank God for Amazon. It was funny, when we were researching this, I remember thinking, God, how did we used to do it before the internet? And thank God for it, because they have those fantastic suggestions. If you look at one book, they keep suggesting other things, but that runs out of steam, and at a certain point, you just follow your instincts. And I started writing this with Daniel Day-Lewis. We wrote it really together in the same room, and as I was typing, he was ordering more books, and we just had like piles everywhere. And he had the time to get through most of them because I would be typing and he could do we could work in parallel. So he would always find a story, a hidden treasure of a story from something that happened either here or in London, and he'd wave it around like, I've got one, I've got a good one, and we'd see if it could fit within our story, the history of these coutiers in the 50s, of which there's so many of them, not only here but in London. Those are the ones that we loved. I mean, the obvious ones being Balenciaga and Dior, but over there we had Norman Hartnell and Hardy Amies and Michael Sherrard. There was a long list of people, and each with fascinating stories to tell about clients and their work. And I suppose we landed on London because it was the road less traveled, because I've always wanted to work there, and Daniel's British, and we knew less about London than we did about Paris as a center of fashion. It's not as well documented.
Vous me tendez un peu une perche, parce que si vous me dites que vous avez écrit le scénario à quatre mains, enfin si c'est une collaboration entre vous deux, on est obligé d'y penser parce que votre exigence à tous les deux, certains diraient peut-être votre maniaquerie à tous les deux, est devenue légendaire. Donc, est-ce que d'une certaine façon, je pense très consciente et peut-être très amusée, très ironique aussi, c'est aussi un autoportrait à quatre mains, ce qui est très original dans l'histoire du cinéma, parce que je ne connais pas d'autres exemples d'un film qui serait de façon consciente un autoportrait de son cinéaste et de son acteur principal.
Right. Um, well, we can't admit to it being a self-portrait because that would make us look terrible. So we probably pretend that there's a lot of similarities, but many, many differences, just to hide a little bit. But, I mean, the truth is that ultimately there are. I think we both really relate to the idea of somebody who has a real passion for the work that they do. But, of course, there are moments when you have to dramatically verge the other way. I would find it very difficult to live my life as Reynolds Woodcock and that obsessive, or that at the exclusion of so many things, including my family and all that stuff, which our hero seems to have.
Mais vous savez, je vous posais moins cette question sur votre vie privée ou sur votre vie familiale que justement sur l'exigence et la liberté par rapport au travail. Mais ça, on le sait peut-être depuis votre deuxième film, Boogie Nights, que votre exigence est totale et que donc forcément, j'imagine, il doit y avoir des conflits avec la fabrication des films, avec leurs coûts budgétaires, avec l'industrie du cinéma. Et dans ce film, quand la jeune femme dit « Comment tu peux lui faire porter cette robe ? Elle ne la mérite pas », on se dit que c'est quelque chose que au moins vous avez pu penser, si ce n'est pas le dire.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, sure. Well, I think that, I would consider it part of a director's job description to be obsessive and protective of his work. I can't imagine doing it any other way, but that was how I learned. When I saw filmmakers that I admired, that's what they seem to do. They seem to protect their work and kind of obsessive can be a code word for just professional, which is too bad. I mean, you can still be obsessive and you could be professional and you could be kind and take care of your work. They shouldn't be mutually exclusive. But that idea of taking the dress off the American heiress, who is one that I read about an American heiress named Barbara Hutton who was married in a Balenciaga, who apparently passed out and was taken off. And exactly, that I gasped. I thought, well, how could you possibly treat a Balenciaga like that? And I completely could sympathize with whatever feelings he must have had to say, you can't treat my work like that.
Est-ce que par ailleurs, de façon très consciente, avec Daniel Day-Lewis et ensuite à la réalisation, en choisissant cette histoire qui est une histoire très connue, parce que c'est l'histoire de Pygmalion, c'est l'histoire d'une jeune femme naïve et inexpérimentée, qu'un homme, lui très expérimenté et très maître de sa vie et de son art, va façonner selon ses désirs. Donc l'histoire est peut-être vieille comme le monde. Mais en revanche, votre façon de la raconter, votre façon de manier le récit est très étonnante. C'est-à-dire que vous ne passez par aucun passage obligé. Moi, j'ai découvert le film ce soir, et comme je suis un spectateur de cinéma habitué à la routine, je me disais, mais quand est-ce qu'ils vont s'embrasser ? Ou quand est-ce qu'ils vont aller faire l'amour dans une chambre ? Et on voit bien que vous vous amusez beaucoup à désamorcer cette attente presque de routine du spectateur pour proposer une autre forme de récit. Est-ce que c'est aussi conscient que ce que je dis dans votre travail ?
Well, it was very conscious. I'd come up with this story that you come up with a story and you think that you're the first person that's ever come up with this story, and then you take 5 minutes and you think, well, this is Pygmalion, right? And so then I went back and I watched Pygmalion, and I never really liked it, the movie versions. They always kind of creeped me out. There was always some weird imbalance, and I was never that excited by that story. So I think I had this bizarre situation where I had a story that I wanted to tell that shared similarities with a story that I didn't really like very much. So I was trying to probably constantly, and I think Daniel didn't like it either. He was always saying, isn't it kind of creepy? I said, yeah, it's creepy. So we were always trying to find ways to manage that creepiness. And I think you're right, in terms of kissing or in terms of sexual interaction or anything like that, we were very, very aware that there was no place for it in this movie, that it would have been distracting, that our preference for this story was to treat it in more of an old-fashioned way, more of a respectful way, more of the way that you might have seen in the old films, which is to imply something. And we only could have done that, I think, because we had very intimate moments that had to do with dressmaking or measuring, that our sex scenes were measuring. That's what we had. So to somehow then pile on top of it something that was more gratuitous seemed wrong.
Et par ailleurs, je me disais ça à la fin du film. Pygmalion est évacué depuis très longtemps à ce moment-là. Et quand j'ai vu Daniel Day-Lewis assis sur sa chaise, devant les toilettes, avec sa bassine, sa couverture, il ressemble à la grand-mère du conte. Il est devenu la grand-mère. C'est-à-dire que je me suis dit, le loup a fini par devenir la grand-mère. Est-ce que ce côté petit chaperon rouge du film, ou en tout cas conte de fées extrêmement cruel, parce qu'on sait que les contes de fées sont cruels, c'est aussi quelque chose qui vous a inspiré?
Absolutely. They were all. I have a load of kids, so there's fairy tales floating around my house all the time. You know, so it's just in the fabric of my house right now to have young children. So the basic story has all the things for a fairy tale. A young girl in a dress, you know, who's sort of brought to the castle, and we try to deal with maybe like the hangover of the fairy tale. What's the reality after those story tales usually finish? And one fairy tale that was really special to Daniel, and that's a Beatrix Potter story called The Tailor of Gloucester. It's about a tailor who has to finish the mayor's getting married the next day, and he has a jacket, and he falls ill. So the mice come out of the floorboards, and they help finish the dress while fighting off the cat that's trying to kill them in the middle of the night, and they get the jacket ready for the mayor. But all those kinds of things. I mean, you have the woods with poison mushrooms and things like that, and yeah, all the elves working up in the attic in their white coats and everything. Yeah, it was not lost on us, so for sure, it should feel a bit like a Gothic fairy tale. That's nice that you pointed that out.
Bien sûr, parce que dans les contes de fées, il n'y a pas de couture et encore moins de haute couture, mais il y a beaucoup de tailleurs. C'est-à-dire que le personnage du tailleur est un personnage de conte, en fait. C'est presque un personnage central de beaucoup de contes.
Yeah, I wonder why. I'm not quite sure why. We didn't know, when we started writing this, we didn't know what job this man had. We had a man who was kind of self-consumed and preferably artistic, and we talked about everything. We said, well, it could be a painter, it could be a sculptor, but when the idea of having him be a dressmaker came our way, it was like way too good to be true. It felt like it lent itself visually, so dramatic, to have these ateliers and all of these women working behind this man who was surrounded by women, you know, and had these very complicated relationships with women, starting with his mother, it seemed. And then it seemed the more that we got into it, the more that we found that anybody who was a dressmaker seemed to have a very deep, confusing relationship with his mother, time and time again. So we got lucky. Everything fell our way.
Autre chose, et on l'a particulièrement bien entendu ce soir, parce que le son est très bon dans cette salle. Je ne me souviens pas d'un de vos films, et même je me souviens de peu de films, qui donnent une telle importance au bruit des objets, où le bruit des objets est aussi présent, et ce, dès le début du film. Alors évidemment, quand arrive la scène cruciale de la biscotte, on comprend mieux pourquoi c'est si présent, mais j'ai presque envie de vous demander... Est-ce que vous l'avez mis dès le départ? Est-ce qu'on entend les gens marcher, claquer les talons sur les parquets, fermer les portes? Même quand on verse du liquide dans une dans un verre à partir d'une carafe, ça ne fait pas autant de bruit dans la vie. Donc vous avez exagéré ça dès le début du film. Est-ce que c'était seulement quelque chose de dramaturgique? Parce qu'au moment de la scène de la biscotte, tout d'un coup, on comprend enfin la folie presque du personnage de Daniel Day-Lewis, son côté paranoïaque et phobique. Ou est-ce que c'était une recherche sur le son lui-même? Qu'est-ce qui vous intéressait le plus?
Well, it's funny. If you, I have to. I'm telling you. I promise you. We did not turn up the sound of the toast. I promise you. If tomorrow morning at breakfast, if you tell everybody in your house, be quiet, don't make any noise when you're eating breakfast, what will happen is that every single noise that you hear will be magnified. Now, Reynolds Woodcock, this character, obviously likes it very quiet around his house. Now, if you try to make a film where, you know, there's like 40 grips, like carrying lights, trying to be quiet, you realize just, especially in a Georgian townhouse, you realize just how loud every breath is. Every last moment becomes magnified, and it's impossible to be perfectly quiet. So all that stuff that happened at that breakfast table, I swear to you, was, I think, almost probably trying to, perhaps she's trying to say, I'm not going to be that as quiet as everybody else is, and I'm not really, you know, going to do it. So she may be buttering her toast a little louder than she needs to, but you'll find that if you're trying to be quiet, that's loud. Everything becomes loud. Everything becomes magnified. It's great to have a character who's sort of demanding silence, because then you have built-in jokes. You know that every time there's a sound, you're panicked and full of fear.
Comment avez-vous fait techniquement pour que l'oreille du spectateur devienne aussi presque aussi importante que ses yeux? C'est-à-dire que le film, ma phrase est un peu ridicule, pardon, mais se regarde aussi par les oreilles.
Right. Well, I think it has to do. It comes first. There's technical. The sound effects are there. That's just very boring sound effects and things like that. But if you have a character who's demanding that things be quiet and silent, then the audience will instantly be aware of every single sound. And any Georgian townhouse makes noise, so you can't move through it silently. So it comes from the characters. It has nothing to do with the sound effects. It has to do. It's as if Reynolds Woodcock looked out at the audience and said, "To you, be quiet." You know, you find yourself in his presence. You're stressed out because the environment that he creates is it's very demanding. If you feel like you should sit up straight and pay attention, because you don't really know what mood he's going to be in. You don't know if he's going to enter the scene and be smiling, or you don't know if he's going to enter breakfast and be cranky. So it's immediately there's an imbalance, and your sense of control is thrown off, and his sense of power is magnified. You see, so it must be very difficult to live with Reynolds.
Et par ailleurs, le rôle de la musique m'a aussi beaucoup frappé. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a très longtemps que je n'ai pas entendu un score, comme vous dites, enfin une bande originale aussi singulière, mais qui occupe autant de place. C'est-à-dire qu'au début du film, le piano est tellement présent que c'est presque... On met quelques minutes à s'y faire, à s'habituer. Qu'est-ce que vous avez cherché avec votre musicien ?
Well, the composer is Johnny Greenwood, who's done a terrific job. I think you're actually touching on, there's so much music, so that when the music does go away, you're very, very aware of it, and you're very aware of every last little sound. So that maybe is also a continuation of what we were talking about. My suggestion to Johnny when we were talking about the score, preparing the score, was to make it very romantic and very lush, and to not be afraid of it being a big. Because sometimes his instincts and things that we've done in the past have been smaller or more minimal. And I thought that if we did that, the story, because it's so claustrophobic and so English, that it would just be like a BBC drama that you did not want to keep watching. That was just gray. And so to have the music be overly romantic and lush would be a nice counterpoint to exactly what's going on, to make that combination. I think Johnny he's a obviously very talented person, and you can request things like a jukebox, and he's capable of things coming out, but he's not capable of it coming out as pastiche. It somehow gets brought through his jukebox and out into the world, and something new is amazing.
J'ai presque pensé, parce que peut-être nous sommes dans cette salle où souvent il y a du cinéma muet en concert, accompagné par un piano qui sort là de la scène à côté de vous. Et je me disais, à certains moments, ça ressemble presque à ça. Et c'est passionnant. C'est-à-dire qu'on dirait un musicien qui accompagnerait un film muet et qui dialoguerait avec le film en n'ayant jamais peur d'exagérer. C'est-à-dire qu'on a l'impression que vous lui avez dit, comme vous venez de le dire, n'aie surtout pas peur d'exagérer. C'est l'exagération qui m'intéresse.
That's nice. I like that. That's great. Well, I did think I used words like that to that effect of Johnny is saying bigger, bigger, bigger. It's okay. Go bigger, bigger, bigger. And he was always very nervous. But I knew that if our instincts met in the middle, if I was over-encouraging for it to be over the top, that I would be dragging him towards something in the middle that hopefully would be just right. But I think that's a nice compliment. I think one thing maybe your instinct is responding to that. He would get dailies all the time, as we were shooting, and I know that. So he would be watching things and playing along to them. I know that he can. You could put a piano right here and play a silent movie, and he could play along to it and come up with something. So he did some of that as he was watching the film. So maybe somewhere in there's just him constantly in dialogue with what he was seeing in the dailies that we were filming.
Oui, donc il a travaillé comme ça. Il a travaillé comme un pianiste qui travaillerait sur un film muet. Et par ailleurs, il faut parler d'elle parce que tout le monde sait, je crois, que Daniel Day-Lewis est un acteur génial et qui est génial tout le temps. Mais est-ce que le défi du film, c'était de lui donner une partenaire, de lui trouver une partenaire qui, malgré son jeune âge et son peu d'expérience, ait une palette de jeux aussi riche que lui. Et avoir une palette de jeux aussi riche que Daniel Day-Lewis, ça paraît très compliqué. Vous avez travaillé avec des comédiens comme Philippe Seymour Hoffman, qui peut-être, eux, y arrivaient. Mais c'est très difficile. Comment avez-vous trouvé cette comédienne ?
Well, we were very, very, very self-conscious of realizing that without finding an actress to play Alma, that there was no story to tell. That if there wasn't, if they didn't fit well together, that there would be no, we'd be fucked. That, to put it simply, and. But what was a challenge was that we wanted an actress that ideally nobody had seen before, or that if you had seen her, she hadn't, you hadn't seen much of her. And Vicky Creeps is from Luxembourg. She lives in Berlin. And we found her in a traditional way through audition tapes that were sent to us. And it was whatever paranoia we built up about how are we going to find somebody, within 2 weeks we found her, and there she was, and it was like so easy. We just thought, this is the girl. How did we get so lucky? And it took maybe like a week. Whatever nerves she might have had of acting with Daniel, it took a week before he came to me and he said, oh my God, she makes me so nervous. She's so good. And I knew just what he meant. She was not afraid to run the rhythm of a scene. She didn't let him dictate how it was going to move, and she would stay back, and you could see him challenging him. I've never seen anybody do that before, with Daniel to throw. It was like a boxer who was getting punches that he'd not seen coming. It was amazing. Just to give you an example of what I mean by the rhythm of the scene, that when he came and said that, after all, is that they had a scene very early on when he takes her back to the house and they're sitting by the fire and they're both asking each other questions, and it was Vicky's line, and she just took like a pause that you could drive a truck through, and you could see she just let the entire thing sit. And I could see on Daniel's face, he's thinking like, is she fucking with me? Has she forgotten her line? What is happening? And right when he'd had enough and he was about to break, she delivered her line of saying, "Why aren't you married?" And that's just a specific example of what I mean by controlling the rhythm of a scene.
Je pense, Paul Thomas Anderson, que la direction d'acteur, c'est peut-être la chose qui est la plus difficile à parler entre un cinéaste et un intervieweur. Quelque chose qui est le plus difficile à expliquer à un public, quelque chose d'assez mystérieux. Mais en tout cas, dans vos films, les acteurs sont un enjeu principal. Voilà. Il y a certains cinéastes pour lesquels ils sont moins importants. Chez vous, c'est extrêmement important, ça se voit à l'écran. Quand vous racontez cette relation entre Daniel et Vicky, ce challenge, quelle est votre place ? Vous êtes la troisième partie, le troisième point du triangle. Et quand on a cette jeune femme incroyablement douée et Daniel Day-Lewis, que vous connaissez depuis longtemps, avec lequel vous avez déjà travaillé, les mots direction d'acteur, qu'est-ce que ça signifie ? Ça veut dire quoi à des comédiens sur un plateau ?
I'm more like the referee who's like, what says like, okay, go, you know, and then they go. The worst thing in the world, I only know the worst thing in the world, and what I know that what actors don't want is they don't want to have a lot of chit chat or dialogue or like endless conversations when on the set or while you're trying to do something. Nobody wants it. The crew doesn't want it. The actors don't want it. I don't want to do it. So to avoid those things, you take time to do it privately with the script. Try to not over-talk it or overthink it, leave some mystery to happen, and just create a scenario that is quiet, delicate, and productive, and free of a lot of it's light. We take the work seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously, and just get on with it. That's been the thing that I've seen that I respond to, the actors respond to, and everybody's happiest. Like those days when somebody, if an actor says they want to discuss something, and you just get very nervous. Like, wait a minute. If we didn't even discussed it by now, we're in real trouble. And most people don't want to do that. They want to just get on with it and see what happens, and feel comfortable. That's the best way that I can describe the circumstances that we have when we work.
Est-ce que ce n'est pas surtout une question de confiance ? C'est-à-dire que je pense que dans votre système, il faut qu'un acteur puisse être suffisamment en confiance pour ne pas avoir peur d'exagérer. Et exagérer, ça veut dire se tromper, se rendre ridicule, être à côté de la plaque, en faire trop, comme on dit. Est-ce que c'est pas aussi ça la base de votre système ? Que la confiance soit suffisamment là pour qu'ils osent y aller, comme on dit.
Yes, that's the best thing, because then they feel they trust you. They feel they could do something completely insane and make a fool of themselves, and it'll either work or it won't. And if it doesn't work, it won't be in the movie, and we can all have a laugh about it. But there should always be the feeling that you can experiment or be as preposterous as you'd like with any idea, for sure. That it is trust. It's trust and comfort, Yeah, they know that I'm not going to let them down, I think if anything, for actors that come into work with Daniel, they need to be You have to go through a situation of calming some people down and letting them get the butterflies out. That happens a lot. And you know, that's difficult sometimes for people that come in for 1 or 2 days to get past those nerves that happen.
Ça sera ma dernière question parce que vous nous avez déjà donné beaucoup de temps. Mais ici, nous sommes à la Cinémathèque, donc nous avons l'habitude de voir d'autres films dans les films que nous projetons, des références, même chez un cinéaste comme vous qui essaye de ne produire que des prototypes. Et donc, dans ce film-là, forcément, tous mes amis qui ont vu le film avec moi ont vu Hitchcock. Donc, ils ont beaucoup vu Rebecca. Et moi, ce soir, j'ai beaucoup vu Soupçon. À part que là, c'est la fille qui monte le verre de lait et ce n'est pas Cary Grant.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, Hitchcock served us well for this film, going back and remembering why we love him and why those films are great. And it was good. It's like going back to your freshman year in class, you know, kind of remembering why you're a student again. And Daniel and I loved revisiting that stuff. And Rear Window was another one that we watched together. And there's a fantastic moment, you know, very early on, it's very clear that Jimmy Stewart will not get married, no matter what, to Grace Kelly, right? No matter what. And he wants to go run off and be an adventurous photographer in dangerous places, and she's just too square for him. But that when he sees her going across the way into Raymond Burr's apartment, there's this fantastic push-in on him, and he's as if to say, like, what kind of an idiot am I? This is the girl of my dreams. She's willing to walk into the lion's den. And I remember thinking that very clearly, that's a great moment, you know, that kind of euphoria that can hit a dummy, like, look what's right in front of your face. Grace Kelly. And I think that's a similar thing for us. Like, look what's right in front of your face. Alma, wake up, dummy, you know, so... That was something that served us well. The other thing that served us very well was David Lean's films and Powell Pressburger, Brief Encounter and Passionate Friends, and I Know Where I'm Going and The Red Shoes. Those were the other ones that we really went back to kind of get ourselves filled up again.
Il me reste à vous remercier, Paul Thomas Anderson, de dire un grand merci au staff de Universal France qui a organisé cette rencontre, à nos amis d'Arte qui l'ont filmé. Donc elle sera bientôt sur le net. Et la dernière chose que j'ai à vous dire, c'est un souhait, c'est que si vous revenez, nous ferons une rétrospective intégrale de vos films. Et la bonne nouvelle pour vous, c'est que dans cette salle, nous pourrons passer The Master en 70 mm.
Thank you very much. Thank you.